Today's episode of Dungeon Crawlers Radio is brought to you by Gamers Inn, your one-stop location for all your gaming needs. Located in Lehigh City, Utah, their fun and friendly staff will be more than happy to answer any of your gaming needs. Just remember, Gamers Inn, it's where adventures begin.
It's time to power up.
Autobots, roll out!
Broadcasting live from the DCR studio.
Oh yeah!
The Geek Revolution starts here.
Excellent!
Get ready for the #1 hit geek radio show out there.
Well, it is impressive, isn't it?
Because it's time for Dungeon Crawlers Radio.
Let's get ready to rumble! And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Welcome to another episode of Dungeon Crawlers, where we're going to talk about Star Wars Rebels.
Wait, we're talking about Star Wars? Star Wars?
I know, we just talked about
Shocker.
it on last episode, but as you heard on the end of last episode, we're talking about Rebels. Yeah!
Well, we just barely went through. Okay,
We're talking about Season 3.
we just had the what is it?
Yes.
The celebration. So we've got plenty of stuff.
There's
to talk
lots to talk about, so Season 3. in my-
Spoilers. If you haven't seen them, you're going to be spoiled.
Let's throw that out
Thanks,
there. There
guys.
are spoilers, but I'm just going to say this very simply, and I was disappointed with Season 3.
I was excited because I feel like the story arc started beautifully.
Yes.
It would build, but these last 3 episodes left me going, wait, what?
Oh, I feel like there was a lot of potential that they ruined. I mean, they bring Grand Admiral Thrawn in, and they pretty much wasted the character. We hardly saw him. He was kind of moving these chess pieces around for this epic battle, and the battle at the end, in my opinion, was kind of lacking for this amazing of a character.
I know how they think. Okay, so why don't you actually plan in advance? Like, for real, it felt like a little bit of a trap. It was a trap.
Yeah.
It really was. And he managed to figure out where the Rebels' planet was.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. You figured out who Fulcrum was. You managed to lure him into a trap and find the Rebels. But however, everything after that, like, I feel like that's where it was leading up to, and he failed. Like, I just...
It
felt,
was funny. If this would have been, this last episode, those 2 episodes would have been shown on like Mystery Science Theater 3000. You would have keep saying like Tom and Crow jumping up. It's a trap! It's a trap! It's a trap! I mean, because it felt so hokey, especially I know them, and it's like, okay, if you know them, then like go in. And then he's like bombarding them from space. Why do you stop? I don't care if they have a shield generator. Just keep going.
Hold on. Let's jump back just for a second, because when he actually discovered Fulcrum,
Yes.
like a couple episodes before,
Yes.
that was ingenious about how
yeah.
he pulled the different pieces apart, and he said, okay, obviously they want to do this. They want to do this. He is here. He is live. He switched it at this point. He must have done that. Like, how he pulls that apart, like, that was a beautifully written episode.
That was the Thrawn
That
I'm
was
used to.
Yes, that was Thrawn.
Yeah. And that was ingenious. And then he goes into this fight, and it's like, okay, you've trapped them, you found them, it's the secret base, hooray, hoorah. You open fire, bombarding the planet, nearly killing Kanan in the process, and then it's like, that's enough. What? Not even Darth Malak stopped. He bombarded Tarsus till it was nothing. Why? I mean, that's
Because
like,
he had to take them alive, which he
I know.
didn't want to do.
That's like the supervillain showing up and delivering the monologue seconds before he's to kill the superhero. Just in enough time for him to grab a sword and ram it through his gut. What?
Well, think about it this way, though. If they had kept going, nobody'd be left alive. The bad guys would have won, and that's no fun.
You're right, it's no fun, but...
There would have been a plot device.
But
They would have
that's the
found
way-
extra
yeah.
secret tunnels. They would have gone underneath with the spider creatures,
Yeah.
and they would have had to escape that way.
Exactly. That they could have found a tunnel, gone underneath.
And even then, you got Sabine's family coming to the rescue, which was beautiful.
It was cool.
And I feel like that was a great, like...
But
her
even
coming
then,
back.
that seemed hokey.
It seemed hokey because Thrawn was hokey.
Yeah.
He was written as a cartoon character in this episode. While the rest of the season, he has been the Thrawn, in my opinion. He's been the Thrawn that we've wanted.
Shadows of the Empire, Thrawn, all of that. We need that.
Oh, no.
I am awesome.
He was awesome up until that end, and it's like, and then the Bendu shows up as this giant storm cloud throwing lightning bolts down. You're like, what?
So it's like all of a sudden they started to pander to the 5-year-old crowd instead of their adult audience that everybody's watching.
It was like Clone Wars, really, because you've got really great written like adult episodes, and then you've got the kid episodes. Well, I want more adult TV in my. Well, that sounds wrong. I want more adult episodes. Like it was just. I want the mature writing.
So that's what we've seen with Rebels. The first season, the first couple episodes kind of seemed like, oh yeah, this is for kids.
Yeah.
But then they're like, wait a minute. Kids aren't really watching this, and it seemed like it evolved to more of the
teenagers,
the fans that have been hardcore fans for a while, college students and above.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you get the Zeb's episode where you find out that his entire species, his entire race was pretty much wiped out.
Yeah,
that's adult there.
That's dark.
Yeah.
But it was Star Wars.
It was Star Wars.
It was a real reach back to like what happened to the Wookiees.
And the reason, and I kind of feel like they were leading up to this Titanic battle, and then Dave went in and said, "Hey, I really need another season to flesh this story out more.
We got to know why.
I can end it. I can end it here, but I really need it." And they're like, "Okay, well, that the bombardment part, just have them pull back and then kind of tweak the story a bit. That way, we give you a season 4." Okay. I mean, I really feel that's why the end of that episode.
Well, did he go in and
hokey.
ask for a season 4, or did Disney go, "We're making money"?
I don't know.
Keep going.
I don't know. Either way,
do what you need to do to keep going.
Here's another question: since this was on the verge of Rogue One, and with everybody in Rogue One, spoilers, dying, could it be that the original Rebels were supposed to almost all die out?
Well, yeah.
And then it almost felt like just too much.
Well, would this have? If it had ended the right
we know
way,
the Ghost shows up in Rogue One. We know that.
Yeah.
We know that Captain Syndulla.
Yeah,
she's still.
We hear General Syndulla.
General.
She was promoted. Well, we know why.
We see Chopper.
Well, yeah. I mean, we see Sato die, so we know now why she's a general. I'm assuming because he was the general.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
We do see Chopper, so we know if Chopper survives. We don't see anyone else, but we know those two are there.
Yeah.
Well, then we'll get that 4th season and actually finally draw those conclusions.
We know Rex now because of the celebration. Rex is one of the soldiers in Return of the Jedi, so he at least makes it to the.
Really?
Yeah. So if you
that is Rex,
the guy with the white beard.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni and several other people did confirm that. I mean, it's retconned, of course, but that is Rex.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's kind of awesome.
So we know he lives.
So we know he lives up to that point.
So
but if that's the case,
where's our good ending?
Did he not go up to, "Hey, Luke, you want to know what? Vader, he's really your dad."
Dude, I got a secret for you, man,
because
and you're not
no
going to
one knows
like it.
that Anakin turned even like.
No. I believe Rex does because Ahsoka tells him, I think.
Does Ahsoka tell him? Or does Ahsoka keep that to herself? Because when she finds out, it's devastating to her.
It destroyed her.
I don't know.
I mean, it'd be almost like a mental
Where's
block.
Ahsoka? We see her kind of creep back into the cave at the end of season 2 after her confrontation with Vader.
Yeah, but you watch.
Is she alive?
She'll be like this huge Titanic character in season 4.
I want to say she's still alive, but at the same time, Dave came out multiple times and said, "This is not Ahsoka's story. This is not Darth Vader's story. This is the story of the Ghost."
I know it's the Ghost, it's the crew, it's Kanan and Ezra. Where are they? I mean, we don't see them anymore. No. Maybe they're somewhere else. They're drinking Mai Tais or something on some distant planet.
They're dead. I'm sorry.
Or maybe they're just dead. We don't...
But that's kind of a cop-out. To say they're dead and not show it? Come on.
I would hope.
We'd probably see that in 4.
I would hope that they actually do stick around. Because it's a big galaxy. You're not always going to be in the center.
Yeah, but if
you
you know
massive.
you've only got one season left to tie up these loose ends, and unless you have plans in some... of one of these films they're going to do over the next 20 years to bring these characters back, tie up the loose ends and everything, you owe it, if not to the story, then to the fans to say, hey.
Well, that's how they tied up Darth Maul.
But the biggest thing is Luke's the last Jedi. So where's Ezra and Kanan? Probably dead. I mean, that only
Where's
makes
Ahsoka?
sense. Probably dead. I mean, that's got to be the thing. Unless
maybe in episode 9, all the Jedi come back out of hiding. There was more
let's
than we thought.
not forget,
maybe we do
Ahsoka
see
is
Ezra
not a
and-
Jedi.
You're right. She is not.
She was just a Padawan, but still.
No. She got expelled
She
from
got
the
expelled
Order.
from the
Right.
Jedi
She's the
Order.
one who started the Grey Jedi.
No, the Great
No.
Jedi were back in the Old Republic.
Well, I know, but she's the one
Yeah.
she was the first Grey Jedi of this time period.
Correct. Because, Jolie Bindu was in Knights of the Old Republic. He was a Grey Jedi. Revan was technically a Grey Jedi, preaching the Jedi needed to move to kind of the Grey Jedi, where they established both light and darkness. It's the only way they could defeat...
Being tempered by love.
Yeah,
not
the only way they could
controlled by
defeat
it.
the Mandalorians. And the Jedi were like, no, that doesn't work. I mean...
Oh, the irony of current
I would
events.
love to see that movie. I know we've talked about it, but give me a trilogy of the Mandalorian Wars. And everything that happens in there with Revan and Malak, and I mean, we don't even need just lead up to the
Forget
video
the
game.
trilogy. Make that part of the. At some point, some of the Netflix series they're working
I know.
on. I mean, that is such an amazing story. We don't know how much of it's still going to be canon, retcon.
Well, we know
whatever.
Revan is canon,
But yes.
because he's in the Darth Bane books, which is canon.
We've got the
We know
comic
Malachor
book.
5. Malachor
Yeah.
5 shows up in season 2 of Rebels, so we know that.
So it's not a huge leap to assume that at some point, if Disney's smart, will revisit this Mandalorian storyline, because barring the original quote-unquote House of Skywalker storyline of the original 9 movies and any spin-offs they may have, Han Solo, Rogue One, and leading up to it with Rebels and stuff like that, it is like one of the strongest storylines in any of the expanded universes that people, i.e. the general public, not people who are necessarily listening to this podcast,
Not us.
but the fly-by-night, I like Star Wars, it's good sci-fi, and it's like me with Star Trek, it's good sci-fi, I'll sit down and watch it, but I'm not going to go geek for it.
Yeah.
I own a phaser.
Yeah, he does. It's great. But to do that, I think that's one of those buy-in movies that the general public would like, and it would do as well as Rogue One, because while part of the Star Wars universe, it is
You don't need to watch the other movies.
It's such a standalone. It's good story, and if you do it right, it will stay good story.
See, and that's the thing. Up until this point, they've been doing Rebels right.
Yeah.
They've been doing a beautiful job, and even the time frame that they keep jumping, like all of a sudden Ezra's a lot older. Like I appreciated that. I love that.
And I'm
because
not
you
gonna,
don't need to keep going on the same harping.
Yeah.
Oh, 4 seasons have gone by and 6 months has happened.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Scott, that as it slowly progresses, we can jump a little bit. Think the old reboot series. It just jumps.
And I'm not saying that season 3 is bad. I'm just saying I'm disappointed.
It could have been better.
It had a lot of potential that they didn't follow through on. I mean, the Obi-Wan fight with Darth Maul. They built that up. And it was over. We talked about it. But I had an epiphany over the weekend regarding it.
4-letter word, 4-syllable word.
I know.
Dangerous.
So I went back and rewatched it. A friend of mine told me to do so. If you go back and rewatch it, those 3 blows that happen are the same 3 blows that Darth Maul does to Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Left, right,
Up.
and that's supposed to hit him in the face, but Obi-Wan was ready for it, and then he did his
that's it.
strike. And I watched it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the same 3 strikes.
Well, because he even takes Obi-Wan, or he even takes Qui-Gon's stance.
He does, but then he changes. And then that's what he keeps me on. It's like, okay, remember he did Qui-Gon stance. Now go watch it again. So I did, and it is. And that's why Obi-Wan was so good to, 1 strike, you're dead.
But did they do that
that's
on
what I'm
purpose
saying.
so
I
the
love that.
hardcore fans
Yes.
would go back and watch it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think they did.
Why didn't they, for instance, the fly-by-night fans who are watching it, the kids, why didn't they do flashes or maybe a VO in the background or something to really reference that? I think that could have bolstered the strength of that
not
scene.
that,
because, like you said, it was so short.
Yeah.
See, and I like
But-
that it was short. And I know Daniel and I don't see eye to eye on this,
no.
but I love how short it was. I love how it shows his expertise. I love how it shows how he's grown. I just
Well,
wish
and
that more
short
of the
is
episode.
great.
I just wish more of the episode would have been dedicated to Obi-Wan instead of just the last 5
Well,
minutes.
but
Yeah.
the thing is the miniseries that was kind of focused on, that miniseries was like 6 issues, and most of it was this battle. I mean, it was just this massive
huge.
battle between the two. And that's why I'm like, all right, we're going to see this huge battle, and it was nothing.
It was like, well, that was a lot of pomp and no circumstance.
So, yeah, I mean, that's literally what it was, and that's, I complained about it. But kind of looking back, okay, I can see why it was quick. The dialogue, though, was beautiful. Mm-hmm. That added a lot of weight there. Will he avenge us? Is he the chosen one? Or they'll bring balance or whatever. I think that was great. And he's like, yeah, that was perfect. I just wish that fight scene would have been a little bit longer and not so westerny around the campfire. I mean, it's like staring at each other.
I just wish they had found each other earlier on in the episode. I wish we would have seen more Obi-Wan. I know it wasn't his story, but bringing him in, I wish.
But every cameo feels like that.
Yeah, I mean that was his story. I mean, why show it then?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they shouldn't have shown it in the trailer and just made it been a surprise.
Yeah, because they built it up. That's the problem. They built it up, and then almost everything we saw there.
Yeah, and that
seems to be the pattern of Rebels. Is they build it up to get you to watch, and it doesn't. It's good. But it's not as good as you.
Oh no! Like the build up for season 1 and 2 were amazing. 1 and 2,
yeah.
And season 2, Ahsoka and Anakin coming back. Oh my
Vader coming down on the TIE, standing on top of it. That build they did it perfectly.
That season trailer was sick.
A good fight there at the end. But this Obi-Wan Darth Maul fight was nothing. I mean, and that's the thing.
And you want to talk, that's the original revisit. I mean, you've got this thing with Vader, and that's cool, but you've got the original. You're talking 2 OG gangsters here going to town on each other. We're popping back to episode 1.
Oh, yeah.
Why wasn't that better?
I know, and that's what really upset me.
But then the big question becomes, how would it have been better? Did it need to be a longer fight? Did there need to be intercuts? Did there need to be better dialogue? Did they need to allude to, like you said, they've got the same moves?
Yeah.
What could have made it better?
Well, I honestly think a little bit more drawn-out fight would have been better. Maybe Ezra thrown in the mix a little bit. That way he's still in the story because,
Ezra gets thrown in. Obi-Wan freaks out because Ezra's, still kind of new, like he was with Qui-Gon. He kind of has flashbacks telling him to get away.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of opportunities. It could have gone
some different ways there.
There's definitely some opportunities. They didn't take advantage of those. In that episode, in the end, there were several other episodes that just felt kind of hokey.
I did love when Sato died. I'm sorry, I loved his sacrifice.
No, that was good.
Well, it's the only way you can get remove a character
good.
like that.
And it was removing a character. I understand why Obi-Wan's like, you're not supposed to be here. They didn't really go much more in depth on that because the truth is he wasn't supposed to be there. But it would have been a little bit nicer to have more there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wish there was more Obi-Wan in that.
Yeah, and it just makes no sense. Why throw Obi-Wan into the storyline if you're not really going to use him?
Yeah.
How does he benefit the core storyline of the series?
Well, he didn't. He really didn't.
It was an insert. Was it just to placate the fans?
I feel like it was an insert to get rid of Maul.
Yeah.
Because they put Maul in the storyline.
Because there's no real way that you can kill. No other way that you could you could justly kill Maul.
Yeah, because they threw Maul in season 2.
Yeah.
And then I feel like they didn't know what to do with him.
They didn't know how to get rid of him.
Yeah. And so I think that's what they did, was to end the Maul storyline and move forward.
I like to think that it really does, when looking at it in the entire universe, kind of
it does bring it back
closure.
It does. It brings his storyline back full circle.
Yeah.
And that's where that dialogue comes in, where I think they did finalize that circle. The fight, though, just didn't feel...
Well, and you didn't necessarily... While awesome, the closure of that storyline, it didn't need to exist within Rebels. As a standalone, I don't know where else you would have put it or how else you would have told it if you had this burning desire to get this thing told.
Well, if they decide to do an Obi-Wan film, they could have put it in there, and then that could have been the massive fight.
It could have been that, but
because he came, like in that miniseries, he came and he threatened Luke, and that is the reason.
Yeah, we're shutting that down. Luke's young, and
that would make sense why Obi-Wan would fight with such ferocity like he did in that series.
Oh, could you imagine a Netflix series, The Obi-Wan Chronicles?
Yeah, well, even a movie.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
It would have been incredible.
Just the growth of the character.
And that's what they're saying. Even Obi-Wan, or even Ewan McGregor says, I want to come back.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see an Obi-Wan movie.
Well, and at this
even though we technically have 3
at this point, he is old enough that it would fit.
Well,
he's
not even
old
3,
enough
like
to play the character.
6.
So, so I hope. I mean, we've seen You saw the trailer, season 4.
Yeah.
They're hinting at a lot.
But let's hope it
death,
doesn't.
Destruction and mayhem.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And
got
I
to pay
really
more.
hope.
We're seeing the wars of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Really come into play, at least
and
in this
I
trailer.
really hope they bring a final fitting end to these characters. We know Thrawn's in season 4.
Maybe we'll have an explanation why he wasn't in Rogue One.
And that's what I'd like to see.
Wrap up all these character storylines and tie it in.
Maybe he gets sent out into the far outer rim. I mean, beyond the known limits. He gets exiled back to his planet. I mean, because Outbound Flight, which is set during the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan and Anakin are on this flight, which is going out beyond the known
further
territories.
reaches.
And that's when they meet Thrawn for the first time. His planet is out way beyond there. And they of course come back, and Anakin tells Palpatine of this brilliant tactician. Maybe he's exiled because of his failure. And the Emperor exiles him back to his home.
Which
that
could
would
be-
explain why
that would
he's
be really
not.
nice.
Plus,
And then could explain why he could come back.
yeah, plus
after the Emperor's death.
exactly, he could be pulled back in. It's removing a character from a storyline without
Darth
removing him.
Plagueis.
He's Darth Plagueis. If only.
Wrong species.
Yeah, no, but being able—that's one of the hardest things to do in storytelling is to remove a character well enough that it'll be bought by the audience, but at the same time, leave it open to be able to bring him back. So,
Well, yeah, and that's the only way I can see it. They either have to kill him in season 4, or he has to be exiled.
but he's such a cool
He
character to
is,
kill.
which is really weird why they brought him in so early.
But
I mean, he's a great character.
But to bring him in, it just screams, because they brought him into Rebels, it screams we're not going to see him on the silver screen.
Yeah.
We're not going to see him on the big screen.
Yeah, it's just
I don't know.
weird.
The last time we saw him fight, I'm not that impressed.
I know, but see that, and that's the thing.
Well, I'm
that
OG
really
Thrawn,
upsets me
like,
because
old school.
the
Oh,
old
we all
Timothy
are.
Zahn Thrawn.
Oh,
that
yeah.
he put the Luke and Leia and Han through the ringer. I mean, they barely escaped multiple times by the skin of their teeth. If it wasn't for the Force, they probably would be dead.
He was the Star Wars universe's Joker. He was like, not just I'm a bad guy.
I mean, he wasn't
I'm
a
gonna
homicidal.
screw with your head.
He's not a homicidal maniac like the
He's just a
Joker is, But
sociopath.
he is so brilliant that he would be multiple moves ahead and but more often than not, he would just screw with them.
Yeah.
To get them, uneasy and questioning themselves, and then they would fall into his traps. And I would have
But we
loved to see
didn't
that.
see that in this
No,
last
we didn't.
episode.
Well,
we really
no,
didn't.
we saw some of that hinted with Callus, and
Well, yeah,
and
when he
some
caught
of that.
Callus, yeah.
But
But
in
remember,
that
there's
final
only
battle,
so
we didn't.
much you can get from
I
a
know.
kid show, because it still is.
It is.
A teenager, gotta appeal to the masses. You can't go too deep. But as long as we don't try to expect too much from what the show really in reality is, we want to see all this extra. We want to see this depth. But I don't think they can give it to us in the portions that we want.
Yeah.
I think that really it came down to they had the great ending, and then they wanted to push it to it.
They pussyfooted
That's the only thing I can think of.
They punted it. It didn't work.
They extended it for the 4th season, and they had to make Thrawn screw up. It's the only way it could have worked.
Well, in all fairness, Thrawn might he would have been okay if that one general had followed orders.
Yeah.
But because he broke ranks to be able to go after Sato,
Yeah.
Ezra was able to break through and then be able to bring back Sabine. Because
Yeah.
without
Still
Sabine,
weak,
everybody
though.
would have died.
But even that was still weak. I mean, it is.
I know.
Especially with how overlooming the Grand Moff Tarkin is, Vader and Palpatine are with people that screw up. I mean, we've seen multiple times guys that are
You're
screwing
lucky
up.
you're
and then,
alive.
Vader has force choked someone over a video conference line.
Across half the universe.
Yeah, and so it really surprises me that General broke rank like he did, especially with how tight of a ship that Thrawn ran. So that was kind of that's where that hokiness started falling.
It was
in.
almost like
It's like, what?
You have
Thrawn
to
is
lose
he's such a tactician. He's such a manipulator. He's such a oh no, go ahead, and then kill you when your back's turned, make you fear and then feel relief and then kill you anyway. That I completely agree that for no reason.
And then what is it? Governor Price? Is that the lady?
Yeah.
What? such a worthless character. Seriously.
We apologize to all
not?
the writers of this show.
No, I'm just saying. There is nothing about this character that screams, "Wow, she scares the crap out of me." I mean, Callus, when we first saw him, it was like, oh my gosh, I hate this guy. But I love this guy because I hate him.
You loved it. It's one of those
I'm just
villains
like,
that you're just
I
like,
hate her.
yes.
I mean, with her, I don't even hate her. I'm just like, can we just like write her off the show? I
Really?
want something
Can
new.
she go?
See, I dislike her. I
She
really
wasn't.
dislike her.
She wasn't interesting.
She's not interesting. I don't even feel like it's like, what does she do? What does she do for the story? What does she do for the Empire? Because
Who was it in season 1? There was an Imperial a girl who was an Imperial.
yeah, the blonde girl.
Yeah, she was like what was she? She
and
was
they
like,
blow her up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But her death, like I appreciated her death. Like
That
I
was a
loved her
great
character.
death. You know, and she was even like starting to question the Empire. So
Yeah,
they killed her off.
And that's the funny thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but she wasn't questioning the Empire until they gave her the kill order, right?
No, she was teetering.
She's on the fence.
She was teetering.
But
okay.
But then when Tarkin showed up, I believe, or maybe it was Vader, showed up. Then she's like, "Whoa, something's wrong. I'm out of here."
My bad.
Yeah, and then she dies. But that's what you see the Empire do. You screw up, you're dead.
So how can you get away with not following orders? Sure, Sato's death might ingratiate you to the point of not being killed, but if
I'm going to take the pride and prestige of this plan and this battle, and I'm going to destroy that carrier. And then, oops, I screwed up.
bad, you know. I mean,
I
how
was
do you-
really sad when the carrier got destroyed.
Well, I
not
mean,
gonna lie. I like the carrier.
Look at
It's a
Rogue
beautiful
One.
character.
Not a single one of those capital ships broke rank. They had to bring a hammerhead in to break those ranks. You know, and
that's the way they did it in Clone Wars.
yeah, I mean that's how the
It's
Imperial
proof
they
of the
ran. So it's like,
Imperial- yeah.
why is this guy? I'm gonna do this. That's where it's like, yeah. Anyways,
We could go on and on.
we
and
got to
on.
wrap this up.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm disappointed with season 3. I hope season 4 is better.
Cautiously
season 1
optimistic.
and 2 were amazing. 2 more than 1. I love the way the story arcs worked, how they wrapped it up. I just don't feel like they had that overall cohesion with this.
What I'm
third
afraid
season.
I feel
is-
like 3 fell apart at the end there.
Yeah.
What I'm afraid of is the reason they're doing 4 is because they didn't get to finish Clone Wars.
Yeah.
The original storyline for Ahsoka, to finish that out. They feel bad and they just want to give it to them.
I hope we see the wars of Star Wars
Yes.
come into play, and I hope that we finally.
And then it ties right into Rogue One.
Yeah.
Which
then-
ties into episode 4, which now it's no longer a tangent. It's just straight up another way to run into the core series.
Heck, I would be fine if it ran parallel
Yeah.
to
That could
episode
be.
or to
Rogue.
to New Hope.
Yeah.
I
That
would
could
love if it ran parallel.
Go all like Lion King 1.5 on it.
Maybe.
Yes, but in a good way.
With less gas.
With less gas and less comedy.
All right. So give us your opinion, your thoughts, and we'll catch you next time.
Later.
It's morphin' time.